Hey y'all, it's Nick. I'm sorry I haven't made a video recently, but in between classes and work and really just not knowing what I'm doing with all this, I really haven't been able to get around to it, but I'm here now, so let's get started. Today we're going to be talking about Generation Z. Now, it's really kind of hard to really exactly pinpoint when a generation begins, but roughly it's kind of agreed on that Generation Z begins around the year 2000. So basically, anyone who's born in the year 2000 and beyond at this point is going to be considered Generation Z. Now, the thing is about Generation Z is that a few studies came out that suggest that Generation Z is the most conservative generation since the Silent Generation. And the Silent Generation was a generation that was around during the World War II era. All right, uh, so yeah, Generation Z, they're just more money oriented and more fiscally conservative than the than the millennials and Generation Xers and maybe even baby boomers. And but not only that, they're also just more entrepreneurial. 70% of them claim to be self-employed, and 12%, only 12% hold jobs that are more traditionally held by teens, such as like a waiter or waitress or something like that. And they're also the most socially conservative generation in a while. One out of seven of them claim to have either a conservative or a moderate outlook, which is pretty big because for the most part, for largely the millennial generation and Generation X, have had pretty either moderate or quite liberal outlooks on life. Okay, so what? And when I say a conservative generation, I don't mean your typical mainstream conservative like your Republican establishment conservative. I'm talking more of a new brand of it that can probably best be described as cultural libertarianism. And the other thing is that these studies are not always accurate, or if they are, they don't always completely. They're not always indicative of the entire situation. But for the most part, I think this could very well be true, just because of well, for a couple reasons. One, Generation Z has always lived under the threat of radical Islamic terrorism. Now, granted, as a younger millennial myself, I've also pretty much my whole life lived under the threat of radical jihad. But with Generation Zers, it's no exception. That they have always grown up hearing about Islamic terrorism, and also not only that, but they've always just we've always been at war in the Middle East. That they haven't known anything any different. And also, they grew up during the Great Recession, which the Great Recession hit all of us, some more than others, but either way, these these Generation Zers likely saw their parents struggling through the Great Recession, and their parents either probably reiterated to them the importance of fiscal responsibility and just the importance of money and being responsible with it. And the other reason is that for the longest time the left has just been they just had a complete monopoly on the dominant culture. Now, the thing is, the way it used to be is that the conservatives held most of the political power in the U.S., and then the either leftists or liberals pretty much dominated the counterculture. But see, the thing is now is that the left has complete control over the dominant culture, and because of that, they can't maintain their control on the counterculture as well. And so, because of that, this new brand of conservatism or cultural libertarianism has kind of grown and become the new counterculture. And this is likely just because these kids, they've always grown up with all this social justice stuff. They've always been exposed to it. They just know how ridiculous it is, and that kind of brings me to my next point. Generation Z grew up during the information age. They've grown up in a time where pretty much technology is pretty much a very crucial way of life. You know, it used to be that say you were in school and your teacher starts parroting some leftist talking point. You can't really the only way to really prove them wrong with like facts and such would be to go to the library or something like that. But the information age now, you know, information is just at our fingertips. You look on your phones. I mean, just go on the internet, find information, and that's how you can, debate those arguments and form a cohesive argument against these leftist talking points. And so that they just overall that Generation Z has just really not bought into this cultural Marxism, and that's pretty big because for the most part, millennials really kind of bought into it, and that brings me to my next point: is Generation Zers could always change their opinion. After all, they're just kind of teenagers now. I reckon the oldest are about maybe 16, 17, and the youngest, I don't know, but I imagine most of them are around probably their mid-teens about now, maybe late middle school, mid high school, something like that. So they could always change their minds, but also it's the thing about millennials is that they kind of took on all these leftist talking points. Then they went to college, and the indoctrination was just kind of complete. You know, with these, I think these Generation Zers are going to be a lot more hard to brainwash, so to speak, because they've I guess sort of prepared their whole lives to face off against the social justice warriors and all that. Yeah. So maybe some blue states could become red, but then again, thing about these new, I guess, conservatives are not really traditional conservatives, so the political landscape could very well change in America. Like with the election of Donald Trump, the political process is never going to be the same again, right? One of the parties, maybe even both, could be dissolved, and we could get some new ones or something like that. But I don't know. I can't really say anything of certainty, but the one thing I can say with, I guess the most almost certainty is that the social justice warriors are a dying breed, and that's pretty awesome. But at the same time, I mean, it's been so entertaining for a while. I mean, what are we gonna do now, right? So yeah, that's that. So yeah, I'm putting some links in the description down below for y'all to check out. They just have some different articles and videos, different stuff for y'all to watch and maybe get more educated on the subject. But of course, do your own research. And that's all I got to say on this. So y'all have a good day, and God bless.